WaterWise Wednesday is a project of the Eagle River Watershed Council. This monthly forum focuses on water issues affecting our community. Filming of WaterWise Wednesdays is underwritten by the Eagle River Water and Sanitation District, who reminds you to use water wisely.
Hi, we're going to get started now. I want to welcome all of you to our first WaterWise Wednesday of 2010. Our topic this evening is planning water-wise communities, and we are fortunate to have Clark Anderson with us this evening. He is the director of the Sonoran Institute's Colorado Rockies program, and he has made me aware of some of the issues that we're going to be speaking about this evening. We all know that land use has an impact on our water resources, but I did not know that a lot of the planning for land use has been done over the years without regard for the impact on our water resources. So Clark is going to talk to us about that and about what can be done to change this concept. And without further ado, Clark Anderson.
Thanks.
And you're next.
Okay. Thanks. Yep, I'm Clark Anderson, and this is fun. It's kind of a homecoming for me because I'm an Eagle County native, born and raised here, and it's really a pleasure to come and talk at WaterWise Wednesdays because I used to go to WaterWise Wednesdays when I was in college, and I'd come home, and so it's really great to get a chance to talk with you guys tonight. As Melissa mentioned, I direct the Sonoran Institute's Colorado Rockies program and our Western Colorado Legacy program. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And again, the topic tonight, I want to talk about the connections between how we're growing and our water resources and the health of the watershed. But before I get started on that, I just want to take a minute to talk a little bit about the Sonoran Institute and what we do. We're a nonprofit organization with offices throughout the American West, and we really work to help communities make decisions about the future, about growth, about water resources, about energy, and how do you shape the growth and the change that's coming to the West. So we're really solution-oriented, and we really focus on the nexus between sustainable communities, prosperous economies, and healthy landscapes, and how do we sort of try and find that nexus, that sustainability nexus. And so we're very solutions-oriented and spend a lot less time trying to pinpoint problems than pinpoint solutions, and we do that through a combination of research, training programs, direct technical assistance, and assist with policy reform. So let's just get down to the basics here. Why connect water and land use? Oh, you guys thought I was going to answer that. No, really, I'm going to ask you guys, and some of you guys I know this because I know there's some people with actually a lot of expertise, a lot more than me even in planning. What's the connection here? What's the big deal? I'll wait.
Almost all land uses require some sort of water use.
Right, land use, development, growth, these all require water, yep. And other types of land uses too, agricultural, what have you. What else?
Most uses put water off the property and into the stream quicker.
Okay, yep. What about when we do develop a piece of land? What happens? Does it change anything on the water?
Consumption.
Yeah, increased consumption. You guys are like, he's supposed to be telling us this stuff. Well, there's a lot of things that happen. Will there be enough water? Too much sometimes. Flooding. Tougher stormwater regulations. You guys dealing with those yet in Eagle County? A little bit? Climate change. How does this play into the picture? This, of course, is sort of where the rubber hits the road. As somebody mentioned, we need water to grow, and we are growing. The West, especially when we look at the country, is growing really quickly. In Colorado, we've got about, again, these are older census numbers, so they'd probably change under the upcoming census, but they point to the fact that, yeah, it's growing. We are growing. About another 2.5 million people in Colorado by 2035, about 2 million of that on the Front Range and about 500,000 on the West Slope. Here in Eagle County, I was surprised to learn that almost doubling by 2035. So that's significant, and there isn't a no growth option. I remember when I was growing up in Eagle County and in Edwards, that was kind of the option I was looking for, and it isn't there. And so a lot of it comes down to not if we're going to grow, but really how. How do we shape that growth? And then, of course, the other key connection between water and land use is a watershed. And you guys are a watershed council, so you understand this obviously very well. What an incredible system. It is a land area that is connected by its water resources. And it's a land area that, by definition, connects all the rivers and streams and the water that falls within the watershed to a common point. And they're also just incredible systems because they provide us this natural infrastructure system that captures, collects, treats, and even distributes our water supplies for us. So we really rely on watersheds and healthy watersheds for our water resources. So the question is, what happens when we go from this, a healthy watershed, to something like this? It's Front Range, south of Denver. Well, this is a kind of technical slide, but I'm going to walk you guys through it. This is a cross-section of a watershed, of course, and you know, everything's good here. We got a nice healthy system, the water cycle's working. When it rains or there's precipitation, of course here right now would be snow, so that precipitation can make its way into the ground, and there's healthy soils and healthy vegetation, and some of the water that infiltrates into the ground is going to go all the way into the groundwater supplies, and some of it's going to create base flow for our rivers and streams, and so this is the good stuff, you know, there's habitat and there's fish and everything's working. We like this. And then we go and screw everything up, right? And so a couple things to notice here about what we've done. First, that absorbent top layer, that natural ground cover, has been covered over by roads and buildings and what we call impervious surface cover. So of course the water can't infiltrate the way it could before, and so there's more runoff, and that water runs off at a higher rate. And of course, when that water is running over our parking lots and our streets, it's collecting all sorts of gunk and stuff that comes off of our cars. And you wouldn't believe the stuff that they find in our water resources, in our rivers and lakes, that is simply pulled and washed off of our urban landscapes and ends up there via stormwater runoff. And it's not only those pollutants, but also the rate and increased amount of runoff that finds its way into our streams really quickly, and therefore tends to erode banks and create sedimentation problems and degrade habitat. So that's a problem. Then of course, as somebody mentioned, we're increasing the need for water, so we're probably going to be diverting water out of our streams and rivers. We're going to have more wells and septic systems, so we're kind of messing things up a little bit. And this leads to what I call the water and growth dilemma. We need reliable water to grow, but the way that we're growing threatens the water we need. And I want to shift now a little bit to just talking about and then showing you guys some characteristics of how we're growing. These are some related characteristics of prevailing development patterns that we've seen not only in Eagle County, but across the West and across the nation. Growth at the edge, we're familiar with this. This is growth that's happening at the periphery of our communities rather than in town. This is the stuff that's sort of creeping out into the hills, and it's far out there and on greenfield sites. And of course that tends to correspond with lower density development, larger lots, lower density, which tends to again happen further out from our communities. And these are both related as well to separated land uses, which is a relic and a characteristic of conventional zoning, which tends to place commercial development in one area and residential development in another area, and this type of residential development in this area and this type in another, and industrial over here. And that made sense a lot during World War II when we were separating types of development that really needed to be separated. And in certain cases it still really makes sense today. But it doesn't make sense all the time. And the result is that it's further separating our development patterns and further spreading things out. And so put all these together, and what we're seeing is an auto-oriented development pattern where you got to pretty much drive wherever you go, right? Just to get around between these separated land uses and spread out development, you can't do it without a car.